Hello, so today we're going to learn how to do the barbell row. First things first, what we'll do is we will grab the barbell and pop it up. From here, we're going to step outside of the rack. And then from here, we're going to push the hips back, hinge over till the knees are bent, and then bring the barbell up to the belly button. There's a few different variations to do with the barbell row. I'll go through them now. You're welcome to do the barbell row off of the ground or off of J-hooks. This example I will show off of J-hooks. Stand almost directly over the bar. Hinge, push the bum back, grab the barbell just slightly wider than knurling. If you're a smaller frame, you grab narrow. With a wider frame, you grab slightly wider. From here, I'm gonna push my bum in, straighten my knees, and then take a step outside of the rack. From here, I'm gonna have my feet hip width apart, a soft bend in my knees, and I'm gonna push the hips all the way back so that the barbell is now at or slightly below the knees. If you don't have that much mobility in your hamstrings, then slightly higher will suffice. From here, I want you to tuck the elbows in, keep the back straight, and then get that bar to tap just below your belly button and then lower slowly. Pull up, tap the belly button and lower slowly. Once you've completed your reps, pop the hips up, stand up tall, and then walk back into the rack like so. It's important to note that whenever you're doing a barbell row, you want to make sure that your lumbar spine or your lower back is neutral and not bending or rounding. The degree in which you hinge over will, for one, change the range of motion, as in how much you can bring the barbell from beginning and end of the motion. And second, it will hit different parts of the posterior chain, i.e. fully bent over like so, and with the barbell going all the way up to your belly button, will hit the lats much more. And then an upright row like this will hit the traps much more. The grip width will also have an impact on what muscles are being targeted and the range of motion. So for example, a narrow grip will allow the range of motion to be longer and it would allow the elbows to be more tucked in when performing the reps. That means that the lats are taking over most of the movement. A slightly wider grip like so means that the range of motion is less, the bar travels less. The elbows are more flared out because tucking the elbows will be a little bit more difficult. And finally, this type of movement will help get hypertrophy in the mid traps, the rhomboids, and the upper lats a little bit more than the more narrow grip barbell row. You won't be able to lift as heavy with the wider grip barbell row. If your goal is to get width in your lats, like so, you would perform a narrow grip barbell row with the elbows quite tucked in, trying to perform at the full range of motion, just like so. And the hinge over doesn't need to be incredible, but the more hinged over, the more ideal. If you want back thickness, including the rhomboids, the rear delts, and the mid traps, like so. And back thickness is also important for making sure that your scapula is strong so you can lift heavier weight and have a safer back when performing movements. Then you'd aim to have a slightly wider grip. The elbows are very slightly more flared out and you're trying to get loads of motion in the shoulder blades like so. See how my shoulders are shrugging all the way back and all the way forward, all the way back and all the way forward. Now, I'm not letting my shoulders have a dead hang where there's no tension whatsoever on them. There's always tension, they're always pulled back a small bit, but the range of motion that it goes through is much greater. Now again, when you're starting out this movement, you will have to go quite light because a lot of people don't do this movement. So please take your time when moving up in weight on scapula traction dominant barbell rows. So one last time for lat dominant barbell row, elbow tucked in, just like so, keep the shoulder fixed. For a scapula dominant shoulder row, elbow a little bit more wide and the shoulder blade comes back like so each rep. When you're doing barbell row, it's extremely rare that you'd have your elbows flared up like this. And if you are gonna have your elbows flared up like this, it will be more for rear delt work. You would never exceed this height. The further down your elbows go, the further back your elbows can be at the end of the range of motion until you're at belly button height and your elbows can go all the way back here and it's relatively safe. But again, higher up means here is the safe end range of motion, no further back from here. Unless you're training specifically your weak points for, I don't know, overhead throwing or something like that. Maybe there's a specialized program for that, but I'm not talking to the person who's an elite overhead throwing competitor. That's everything for the barbell row. Have a good day.